Okay. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Harbor session, Harbor introduction session. Harbor is a CNCF project, and it's probably the first time that the Harbor introduction talk in Europe by our project maintainers. So we are very excited to be here. Today, when I was working in the hall, I met quite a few Harbor users that they are very happy about the project. So I want to know any of you as using Harbor right now. Can you please raise your hands? Cool. So many hands, right? That's good. Today I'll be here I'm based in Beijing. I'm here to share the latest update of Harbor and introduce the Harbor project as a whole. And let's introduce my speakers here. My name is Henry Zhang. I'm the creator for the project Harbor. And right now I'm a chief architect of VMware China R&D based in Beijing. My primary role is for incubating new projects based on emerging technologies. And also joining me today is my colleague Steven Ren.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Steven Ren. I'm working for VMware Beijing. I am an engineer manager in VMware. So I have worked several open source projects within VMware, like OpenStack and containers, and now I'm working on Harbor. Thank you. Join today's session.
Yeah, sure. Joining me today, we should also have a few Harbor core maintainers in this room, Steven, and also Daniel, and also Michael. They will help us answer questions and also help some of the explanation of the demo later. So let's get into the introduction part. Harbor was actually a small project that we did about 4 years ago. So today you see many logos saying that Kubernetes is 5 years old, right? And Harbor, we created that like back in 2014. So it's roughly 4+ years. It's roughly the same, a little bit shorter than Kubernetes, but it's almost the same age. At the time, I was leading a small team in Beijing, VMware China R&D, helping the user for their workload applications. And we saw that many users are having challenges managing their container images. So we went ahead and created a tool for people to address those challenges in managing container images. So this tool gradually used inside VMware, dogfooding inside VMware China, and gradually become useful. And then we decided to open source it in 2016. So to now, it's almost 3 years more than 3 years now. And gradually, we have a lot of users. After it's open source, this tool was named as Harbor. That's the name right now. And so at the time, the many users started using Harbor, and gradually we have a lot of attractions. And eventually, last year, when we have about 44,700 stars on GitHub, VMware decided to donate this project to CNCF as a sandbox project. And later on in the November last year, in the KubeCon Shanghai, it was promoted as the incubating project of CNCF. Right now, we have about 7,800 stars on GitHub and a lot of users worldwide. So we're very excited to be here to share more updates to you. Harbor is basically a trusted cloud-native registry that can store and size and scan contents. It can help people to serve or manage container images and related artifacts, such as Helm Charts, right? Here's the community status, right? 7,000 something stars, 2,000 plus forks, and 120 plus contributors worldwide. And we have a lot of members in the community members in the social channels like Twitter, Slack, and so on. Here are the distribution of the contributor and maintainers worldwide. You see that it's, the maintainers are mostly in the APJ and North America. And also we have 126 contributors worldwide all over the world, in many countries, including Europe here. So one of the goals here is trying to see if there are anyone in the European countries that are interested in helping us or contributing to the project. We are welcome to join us, either as a contributor or a maintainer. That's a welcome. Just talk to us and see how you can help with this project. And there are many users are already using Harbor in production. There's thousands of users that we know, including big internet companies, big enterprises, and the many small startups, and they all use the Harbor. Here's the hard architecture of Harbor. Basically, the very components of Harbor, the one with the logo of Harbor is actually our open source project, our code, and the rest is open source projects that we use other people's. So Harbor can help to support the web client, web portal, and can support Kubelet, and can support the Helm Chart client, also can support the Docker client, a notary client. So we can support all kinds of clients for this Harbor service. And also we can reduce the identity provider from AD, LDAP, or any OIDC providers. And in terms of packaging, we can package for Docker Compose, and Kubernetes, Hemchar, as well as Cloud Foundry both release. So there are many options there for us to choose from. So let me quickly go through some of the key features of Harbor. So the first one, and many people like most, is the access control, or role-based access control, or RBAC. And also we have LDAP, AD integration, and OIDC recently, and also robot account. So the idea is very simple. If you're familiar with all the RBAC things, basically we group all the images under a logical entity called project. So all the images belong to a particular project. And users will be assigned or associated with the project as members. Once a user becomes a member, it can have different kind of roles. For example, guest role means that it can read-only access, or it can only pull images. And developer role, it can pull or push image. And also for admin role, it can, in addition to pull or push image, it can also manage the member for a particular project. So recently, so today, this morning, maybe you have heard of the announcement of Harbor and 1.0 in the keynote. The 1.8 just released, refreshed. And in that release, we have added in some new features like the OIDC support and the robot account support. The robot account is for OIDCs for interop with other systems, and the robot accounts for CI/CD system integrations. The next feature many people like are the replication. Initially, when we did this feature, we are trying to address the problem for many users that are having operational issues with copying images from one place to the other places. So this feature actually solved that problem because they don't need to manually copy the image around. So let me show you how it works. So for example, you have a registry, you have a few images inside one registry, source registry, and then you can set up a replication policy between the two instances. And then you instantly have an initial replication, all the images across the line, across the network to the other instance. And then you can have incremental replication, which means that any additional image you push to the source registry, it will get populated to the other one. So essentially, you are maintaining two identical instances of the registry, even regardless it's on-prem, in the cloud, or between different data centers. And we can have filtering, so for the image that you want to replicate across the line. And also, we can have the cron-based scheduling. It means that you can define when, every week, or every day, or what time. So it's like cron-based. If any operators, you will be familiar with this. So cron-based scheduling. And also, we can support pull and push mode, which means that you can get around with the firewall. Because many organizations, they usually have firewall rules that blocking you all the access going out and going in. And then you have pull-push mode. You can have the flexibility to set this replication up. And one more thing is that Hemchar is supported. So in addition to images, you can have Hemchar stored in Harbor. And then it got populated or replicated to the other instance as well. So in that sense, that we can help replicate all the images and Helm Charts. One of the use cases of this replication is the helping you to address a very large cluster of container nodes. For example, you have a container node, 100 or 1,000 container nodes. If all these nodes are pulling images from one particular registry, you will instantly have a problem of the bottleneck of the performance, I/O, and networking, right? So the solution for that is you can have a second tier of registry instances that can use the harbor to replicate to the second tier of the registry, and then all the nodes will pull from the second tier of the registry, so that you even out the workload. So you don't have to, you can avoid the bottleneck by this means. We have many users using the replication in production, including a very famous bank in Spain. They're using it to cross the cross the continental line network to replicate the image across the different offices in different continents. So essentially you have identical images, and you can serve as a backup instance of the images. Also, you can have local access for your container images. The next one I want to mention is the most organization or enterprise they care much about is the vulnerability scanning. Basically, we can scan all the images stored in the harbor, and then you can find out whether it has some known vulnerability. So we compare the images with the known CVE database outside for all the famous OS like Debian, Red Hat, Oracle, whatever. And then we report what you have for the vulnerability scanning, known issues, right? And then we have the severity level for each of the images and report summary reports. And then we can see the detailed report of all the images that you have. And we can set the threshold. If the severity exceeds the threshold, we can block the image from being downloaded, being pulled. So it increases the security in your organization. The third one is content trust. This one is relatively simple and easy to be understood. To be understood is that we leverage another CNCF project called Notary to help us to sign the image. So when we are pushing an image to the registry, we create a signature for that image and store it into a notary service. Based on that, when we try to pull the image again, we'll compare that signature with the image to verify that whether it's come from the trusted source for a particular image. By that means that we can ensure that the images always come from the trusted places or trusted source that we can use. The next one is Helm Chart. It was introduced in version 1.6 something. It's been a few releases right now, and people like this as well because they don't need another repo to manage Hemchar. They can only use Harbor to do the two things. So basically, we have a unified image management and Hemchar management together. The same access control using the project model and also the replication that I just mentioned. And you can upload and download charts using the UI. In addition to the normal Helm command line, you can also use the UI to upload and download your Helm charts. There are many other features that, in the interest of time, I won't go through every point bit by bit. So basically, web portal, RESTful API that are used by many admin or for automation. And in the latest 1.8 release, we embedded the Swagger UI inside the Harbor so that you can test your REST API using the UI inside the Harbor. And also, we support multiple deployments, like just mentioned, is Docker, Hemchar, and Bosch. So with the announcement this morning in the keynote, I want to highlight some of the new features that in this release. One is the OIDC. It's the Open ID Connect, which most of the popular way for the internet website to interact with each other. We'll have a demo shortly. And also the robot account is for integration with different systems. That way, because many users, they have their user stored in the LDAP AD, organizational LDAP or AD, but they usually they don't need a physical identity to be for the CI/CD system. Because these systems do not represent any real person, so we need a robot account for that system to work. And then we have replication enhancement, health check API, and Swagger UI, prompt-based scheduling. So all these I've mentioned before. The next part will come to the demo. The most exciting, so you're seeing is believing. So let me introduce Steven Ren, my colleague, to come up for a demo. And also we have Michael. We can also help with he's also a maintainer for Harbor. He can also help with some of the explanation. Okay, Stephen.
Okay. So Michael and I will do demo together. So today we have two demos. The first demo is going to demo the OIDC feature.
So a couple of key things about OIDC, right? So as Harbor gets integrated to an environment with lots of other tools and investments that you guys have made, it's important to be able to integrate with it and bring a federated identity, and also to allow other tools to be able to integrate into Harbor as well. So as we were looking into the different authentication schemes, it was very evident that we needed to include OIDC support, and that was one of our main features for 1.8.
Yeah, so for this demo, and you can see, so we have pre-configured DAX server, and I'm going to demo the how Harbor can configure OIDC provider, and how as administrator you can onboard users, and how you can use Docker login to do pull or push. Yeah, first, as admin, and once we log into the hub portal, and we have a configuration tab, and we need to choose the auth mode as OIDC, and also need to input all the parameters required for the OIDC provider, like what is your OIDC server, and what is your OIDC client ID and secrets. And once you have configured all those parameters, and you can log in the OIDC users through Harbor web portal. So right now, so I'm going to log in as a test user 1 with my OIDC password. So once I'm on board, and Harbor will automatically create a user, which start in Harbor local database. So why we're doing this user creation is because Docker client doesn't allow you to forward your OIDC credentials to another or selected server. So we have created a Harbor user allow you to use Docker CLI. So once you log in this as a OIDC user, you can do all the operations as you did in a local DB user as before. And so I have created a project called test1, and then I'm going to log in and log in to get my Docker CLI secrets, which I'm going to use it to do a Docker CLI login and push and pull. So in the user profile, you can copy your CLI secrets, and then you can log in, use the Harbor user created, and use the CLI secrets. Yeah, here we cannot use the OIDC user password. We need to use the CLI secrets. Yeah, once we have logged in successfully, and we can push an image to the project I have just created, use the test1 user. Now I do a push.
So essentially what's happening here is if you are managing Harbor, you can still use your federated identity that's backed by whatever identity provider you want. But then whether that's your CI/CD system that's pushing and pulling images, or you're using that through the command line Docker client, or other Docker compliant clients don't support the federation dance and being able to federate the identity. So the CLI secrets that we implemented as part of this effort will allow you to give you a temporary or permanent password that you'll be able to use as part of that effort. And that's what the Docker client is using here.
Yeah, this demo is still going, and we just push an image, and then we will pull an image through the Harbor. So I just clean all the image locally, and then there's a very nice copy icon, and we can copy the command to do a pull request. So, and then you can onboard another user, and you can also assign the previous project to the new user as the mean to manage the user if it required for the two people to share projects. Yeah, this has the. This is my first demo. Yeah, for the second demo, we are going to demo replication between heterogeneous registry. Do you want to?
Yeah. So essentially, when we start, while Steven is setting up the demo, when we started Harbor, you could only replicate between multiple instances of Harbor. So like that image that Henry showed earlier, you can kind of scale Harbor into multiple stamps of Harbor. But as we're moving along, there's a lot of interest from users to be able to not only push, but also be able to pull images from between Harbor and other registries. So we added support for Docker registry, for Docker Hub, for the Huawei Cloud registry. And now we're also going to add support for additional registries in the future. And now what you can do is you can use a lot of the RBAC, the policy, the enforcement around CVEs and vulnerability scanning in Harbor. So you can be assured that your images are secure when they're in Harbor, and then you can push those images to the edge, to the branch office, to another data center using the replication feature. So you can have a central hub, use all of the policy enforcement of Harbor, but then everybody else can take advantage of that as you're pushing your images to additional locations.
Thanks, Michael. And so in this demo, what I'm going to demo is that, as you can see, there are two Harbor instances, and there's a GitHub, there's a Docker Hub, and there's a Docker native registry I have pre-set up. And I'm going to demo replication between Harbors and between Docker Hub and Harbor, and between the Docker native registry and Harbor in the demo. Yeah, so as I explained, there are two Harbor instances, and to create to replicate, and first we need to add a registry endpoint. So this registry endpoint, you need to input a Harbor URL with your credentials. Once you have created this endpoint, you can create replication rules. And in this replication rules, what you need to describe is that where from or where to you want to replicate your images. And we also support user to set up a resource filter, like what kind of namespaces, what kind of tags you want to replicate. And we also support both image and Helm Chart. So here I choose both to replicate both resources to the Harbor instance. And also we will automatically create a namespace on your destination replication endpoint. So once the replication rule is set, and there's a button you can click replicate. And now we can see there are two tasks in this demo created, and we have created one add mirror image, another Harbor Helm Chart. So then, if you have images in your Docker Hub and you want to pull public images into your Harbor repo, and you can also create a Docker Hub registry and set up replication rules. So in this demo, I have set up a replication rule which will copy a Harbor core image from Go Harbor repo into my local Harbor repo. Yeah, as you can see, the Harbor core image is replicated. Yeah, we also support the push-based. So in the third step, so we have config a Docker native registry, and then we will push the Harbor core image we just replicated from Docker Hub to Docker native registry. And here there are two additional options. One is so you can also configure whether you would like to override your previous image or not. As we can see, this is replicate, and I have set up the Docker native registry and use the curl command to check whether the replication succeeds or not. It is succeeded. That's all for the demo.
Thanks, Steven and Michael, for helping the demo. Let me switch back to we still have a few slides. Yeah, so basically that's all the content for this introduction. I think it's quick, but we do have deep dive sessions that you can have more in-depth knowledge about Harbor with more complicated scenario, more complicated setup. And also we have the maintainers here, and for the CNCF answer bar, you just go to the exhibition hall and the Seminar Center. We'll be there for these days. If you're interested, talking to us, just come by and discuss with us. And also, we really want to help to call for the participation in this project. So if you're interested, either you are a user, you want to be a contributor, you want to be a maintainer, just come to us and tell us about what you want to do and how we can collaborate together. And also, we would like to hear from you what about use case and what we want to have, and whether you think that is helpful to your use case or not. So that's the end for this content for our slides, but we really, because we have all the maintainers on site, so we want to see if they have any questions that we can help answer. So any questions? This one.
Yeah, as a bank, we're using Azure Container. As a bank, we are using Azure Container Registry currently, just to push and pull images. What we're looking for is, I think, Harbor with the Red Hat Clear in it. So we can scan and check on vulnerabilities. But, of course, the question would be, we want to use Harbor as a primary registry, and then, for failover, replicate to Azure Container Registry. Is this something that you will be able to do in the future, or?
You mean HA, hybridity, or?
Just replication to Azure Container Registry and do a manual failover in case of DR or something like that.
Okay, maybe Michael can take it.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that come with that, right? So there's the content, which is your data, your images, your Helm charts, and there's the RBAC configuration. So as a first step, we'll definitely in a future release of Harbor in the near term, we'll have support for replicating towards the Azure Registry and Google Cloud and AWS, so we'll add support for all of them. The second part, which is around the config, we'll work on that. That might be something that initially you might have to do manually or create some form of scripting that would enable that transition. But at least the data, which will be your most important asset, will support replicating them using the same replication demo that we did earlier. So that's something we're working on in the near term.
Thank you. This gentleman.
Thanks for the intro, first of all. How much of the configuration, of the manual configuration that we've seen can be done through config maps and environment variables at deploy time?
I would say, so you mean the configuration parameters that can be, right now, I mean, I will let our maintainer Daniel to answer this one. So the question is whether they can have the configuration inside a config map or in a
in the 1.8 release, we categorize the configuration into like system setting and the user setting. As for the user setting, you have to set it via the REST API. To do this, the reason for that is in some failover scenario, the configuration value will be remained. So as an example, for the OIDC setting, if you want to automate that, you will need to launch Harbor. After it starts, you call the REST API to do the setting. That's the way to do that. You cannot do that in environment variable because that will, you will have two ways to set the same configuration value, and when there's confliction, there will be trouble. Yeah, that's the reason behind it. Yeah.
Any question? Yeah. Can you pass the mic?
Can we integrate Harbor with Kubernetes to analyze and scan images for the pods before persisting them to create, using the validating webhooks or something?
Sorry, I didn't get a question. Could you speak a little? Oh.
Yeah. So can we integrate Harbor with Kubernetes to scan images in the pods or like deployments before creating them in the Kubernetes? Like, for example, like there is Encore, for example, they have admission controllers, so we can use it. And using validating webhooks, we can actually do this. So I just wonder if we can do the same.
Yeah, so basically what you're asking for is before you deploy an image, you want to make sure that it's valid by Harbor, there's no CVEs. Yeah. So that's something that's possible through our API, and if someone were to create an admission webhook and a validating webhook, they could do that and get the image. If it's not already in Harbor, then push it to Harbor, scan it, get back data, and then approve or deny. That takes a while, though. So if you're going to go through all that process, why not use Harbor as your registry where you can be guaranteed that before you push an image or before you pull an image, you're always have a clean image. So one of the policy features that you have in Harbor is that on a per project basis, you can define what your threshold for vulnerabilities is in images. So let's say we scan images every night. You can say, don't allow anybody to pull an image if it has medium severity CVEs present. So Harbor itself can help you enforce that policy where you don't have to create a webhook and do that.
Okay, thanks. Maybe one more quick question. Is anyone? So one last question there.
So I read something about garbage collection. My question would be how this actually would work in terms of recognizing garbage and old stuff in the registry, because with other products I had the issue that file systems ran full and such stuff that you don't want to have.
So you mean the replication or what? Sorry. Garbage collection. You want to take it?
I didn't hear your complete question, but basically we leverage a Docker distribution. It runs as a separate process. We set it to the read-only mode. After that, we run the GC command, and it will check the manifest and count the reference number. So when the layer's reference number is 0, it gets removed. That's, overall how it works. Did I answer your question?
If not, we can talk offline.
Yeah,
so I mean we are running out of time, but one more minute is that we have a community meeting here. You can see here is that we have bi-weekly meeting in this Zoom call. It's on Wednesday, every Wednesday, bi-weekly Wednesday. It's available on our community GitHub. If you're interested, you can join our Zoom call every 2 months, every 2 weeks, so that you can talk to us. We are there. So easy to find. You can email us, all the channels. Okay? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone for this.